So awesome for you to be here and take time out of your day to talk to us about all things beer and Revolution Brewing.
My pleasure. It's an honor.
So you've been with the company from the beginning, right?
That is correct.
Okay, good. My LinkedIn stalking went well. That's really what I wanted to make sure I was stalking the only social media platform I'm not on correctly. So tell me a little bit how you guys got started up, because I know you're like Illinois. It's right in your Instagram bio. You're Illinois' largest independent brewery, which is ridiculously impressive. So how did that get started from what it is and grow to where you are now?
Well, it was really cool. Josh and I brewed together back in the late 90s at Goose Island Beer Company, and we became friends. And when I left Goose Island, I went to work at Three Floyds, and he went to work at a small brewery called Golden Prairie. And then down the line, he opened up a great beer bar and restaurant called the Handlebar. And his main goal was always to start a company called Revolution Brewing Company. And even back in the late 90s, he had a logo drawn up, and he was starting to cobble together equipment in his basement, much to the chagrin of his wife, Krista. So, he's had this dream for a long, long time. And, he kept trying to get it together, get the right people together, get the right building, get the money. And, he got shot down so many times, he was almost ready to give up, but he promised that he would never give up, and he wanted to get this company started. So finally, all the stars kind of aligned, and he found the right investors, the right building, the right crew to get the company started. And, we started working on the brew pub, I want to say probably 2008 through 2009. And, we officially opened in February of 2010. And, it's hard to believe that it's been 10 years of the brew pub being open, because with COVID, we haven't really been able to celebrate that the way we wanted to. We really wanted to blow it up and celebrate the whole year long, but there hasn't been a whole lot to celebrate about this year. Sadly, so many people having issues with COVID and, around the world, and, people being hit hard, small businesses and bars and breweries here in Illinois, as, just like all over the country and the world. But in 2012, we opened up the Kedzie production brewery because Josh has always been very aggressive. And, with the success of the brew pub, he's like, hey, we need to get some beer in cans here. I see a little gap. I think we have a great opportunity to kind of make our footprint here in Chicago. So we opened our production facility here on Kedzie in 2012. And our official first brew here was April 28th of 2012. It was actually on the same day as Dark Lord Day. I remember that because we were planning on going to celebrate, but our equipment was finally ready to go, so we busted out a brew on a Saturday. Our first brew here at Kedzie was an anti-hero brew.
Typical things that we do to celebrate work more.
Yes.
Naturally. And I like that also follows that superhero theme. And obviously you guys have your League of Heroes series, but kind of all of your cans, at least the artwork on them, is very comic book style. Somewhat. How did that come along?
It really started, I think the first logo we really went with that style was Galaxy Hero, which was a beer that we brewed to focus on the Galaxy hop, which was new at that time and is a really neat hop from Australia. And it was brewed to release for the C2E2 event that we have here in Chicago. And it really grew in popularity from there. And what we really started doing is showcasing particular hop varieties or combinations of hops to create a certain profile in a beer, or to showcase a specific variety, and then pairing that with a specific kind of comic book hero to coincide with that particular beer. And it's really grown and become a huge thing for us. And in the COVID times here, our hero variety pack has been a very, very popular item for sure.
Yeah. Have you guys been thriving off of that, like kind of Marvel superhero trend too, or getting inspiration from it?
I think so. It's been a cool thing. And, it's fun for us. We take brewing beer very seriously, but we like to have fun with our labels and our names and things like that. So we like to keep it fresh and keep moving on and making new beers, and, looking into new hop varieties and creating new aromas and flavors, and also new cool artwork. So it's really fun, and we like to really keep things fresh and keep moving on. We're always thinking about new ones down the line too. We've always got 4 or 5 in our pocket that we're thinking about that are going to be coming down the line.
Yeah, I noticed going through your website that you kind of release beers in series, which I love. It feels like a season of a show. Like,
Mhm.
and this is our new beer series. Now, why that particular method of organization with putting out your beer?
I think when there's a particular series, it just lets people know that, like this particular series focuses on IPAs or barrel aged beers or kettle sours. It just helps people understand exactly what we're trying to get across, and it lets them know exactly what they're going to get in that particular pack or in that group of beers.
Yeah, and I know that you guys have been working with the hive for with bees, and now you're selling like jars of honey. Did I see that right on your Instagram? That's so cool.
It is really cool. We have actual beehives on our roof of the Kedzie Brewery, and Josh found a gentleman and his company that manages these hives for us, and they actually harvest the honey towards the end of the year. And this is actually the second year that we've used it in a particular deepwood beer called the Honey Jacket. So it's our straight jacket barrel aged barley wine that we infuse back with some of our fresh honey from the roof, which is really cool because it's sourced or it's grown here in Chicago, and it's like Josh likes to refer to it as urban honey because the bees from our hives are flying around the neighborhood and finding local plants and trees and flowers and harvesting nectar from that, and they end up making their honey, and it has a very distinct flavor and character from our neighborhood and from our area here. So it's really cool, and we're really proud to put that in the Honey Jacket. It turns out to be a really neat beer.
I love the idea of being like, oh yeah, this beer it's made with our roof bees.
You have to be really careful if you want to go out on the roof and check out the sunset or go hang out there on a nice day because there's a lot of bees up there. So you got to be prepared to run away quickly.
I'm frankly just shocked that you can even do beekeeping on a roof in Chicago where it's freezing 9 months out of the year.
I know, isn't that neat? It's neat. The bees are, they're built for survival, and the gentleman that keeps the bees for us has some really good suggestions on, what to do, and he's really managed them for us. And the honey's, it tastes really good and it's really unique, and it's cool that it's right from our roof.
That's so cool. So you get your bees from your roof. Where do you guys source your hops and your other ingredients from? Is it also local?
Wow, the most local ingredient I think that we've sourced is hops from Hophead Farms in Baroda and Hickory Corners, Michigan. As far as our other hops and malts, we source them from all over the world. Most of our hops are grown in the Pacific Northwest, but we also have used hops from England, Germany, France. Uh, let's see, where else? Australia, New Zealand, Slovenia. So there's a lot of sources for hops and malt. We get malt from the United States, Canada, Germany, England, France, Belgium. So we're always trying to source new materials and create new flavors and aromas that are really unique, because in this marketplace and in this time in craft brewing, the focus is really on always looking for creating really interesting and cool flavors, and not only with malt and hops, but with different yeast strains as well.
Yeah. And speaking of Germany, and I was watching your Instagram, some of your Instagram videos, and you had a beer pour on
Oh,
there, and
yes.
it's completely different than the normal beer pours you see in the US. Can you tell me a little more about that?
Yes. Normally, whenever we do our Oktoberfest and kick off our party, we have a single keg that we tap to kind of get the festivities started, which is kind of a tradition of, I believe it's the mayor of Munich that always taps the first kegs to kick off the Oktoberfest celebration. So Josh and I always like to tap a keg of what we call our Keller Oktoberfest, which is uncentrifuged and unfined. So it's just lagered for an extended period of time with yeast and suspension. So it's super smooth and drinkable and just throws a really, really big creamy head, which really impresses us as brewers. And we like it to look really good and taste and smell really good as well. But with that pour you saw me pouring was a gravity pour. So it was beer that wasn't fully carbonated. And when you pour it through that spout, it allows a lot of the CO2 to come out of solution, leaving the beer with a lower CO2 level in the beer. So the mouthfeel is very soft and creamy, and it has a very nice big head on it.
I love that. I just, beer is so cool to me because there's so much science that goes into it. And every time you're drinking anything of it. Like so much time and effort has gone into making sure that everything is exactly right. And I can tell that that's something that you care about a lot too. So what about Revolution beer do you think stands out against the other breweries?
I think we're really proud of the fact that we love to innovate, but we also love to balance that with brewing classic styles as well. Because, as we're striving and experimenting with brewing hazy IPAs and kettle sours and barrel aged beers, we like to really fall back and brew every once in a while, like a true English mild or a true German Helles or, an English bitter or a dry Irish stout. So we like to keep those styles that have really kind of fallen out of mass favor across the world. We like to keep them still in our back pocket because I really feel that as brewers, it's really our responsibility to keep brewing these styles and not let them fall out of existence just because they're not all that popular at the style. They're very smooth and easy drinking beers, and we love to brew them. And it really challenges us to brew classic styles, but we're also being challenged all the time to try to innovate and experiment with new hops and yeast and malts and create new flavors and aromas in beers as well, because we don't want to get just stuck on brewing beers of the past. We always want to keep brewing those, but we always want to keep moving forward and kind of pressing the boundaries of what we can do with beer.
I love that. It's like you're keeping history alive, but also innovating in several ways to make it fresh and exciting and fun and happy to drink
Indeed.
a
Indeed.
drink of your beers. Yeah.
Indeed.
So obviously coronavirus has ravaged breweries and bars and restaurants and pretty much everybody alive. How have you guys adapted this year to the ever changing dynamic of brewing during 2020?
Some of the things we've done is since the bars and restaurants have been closed down, we've really switched our focus to canning beer. So we've been canning a lot more beer than we have in the past. And what's really been selling really well for us is our multi-packs. Our Hero variety pack, also our 15 pack of Everyday Hero, and we have a 12 pack of Fifth City, and we have Cross of Gold in a larger format pack, as well as Anti-Hero 12 packs have been doing really well for us. It's really these larger packs that have been selling well in grocery stores, because as soon as everything starts shutting down again, what we find is that everyone starts pantry loading and really stocking up on some beer because they're jonesing for a beer and they can't go out and have one anywhere. So what I think people have been tending to grab the larger pack size at the grocery store or liquor stores, and they've been doing really well for us. We've also, our director of retail operations here at the brewery, Meg, has really crushed it with doing our curbside business, where you can order your beers online and just come and pretty seamlessly pick them up here at the brewery. And we've been doing that with not only our regular beers, but Meg's been pulling some beers out of the library and filling some really cool crowlers for sale that are really limited. And also, doing some mix packs that she's physically arranging here at the brewery, but also our Deepwood series. This is the time of year for us where we really love to have big parties at the brewery and release these, big, strong, high gravity barrel aged beers that we do. And we haven't been able to do that. However, we've been able to sell them through curbside, and people have been coming and picking them up. And she's really got that dialed in, and it's really working well for us.
Wow, that's fascinating. So you can meal prep or you can beer prep by getting these giant packs and putting them in your fridge. I love that. That's how you tell there's two kinds of people in the world:
Yes.
the healthy people and the beer people. And I'm glad that you're a beer people like me. Well, that's awesome. Okay, so obviously your location is very important to you guys. Why did you pick the specific spot that you picked?
Well, the brew pub was in Logan Square, and that's where Josh lived, and he always wanted to open a brew pub in Logan Square. And at that point, there really wasn't a lot of bars, even on Milwaukee Avenue. There, it was kind of desolate. The Logan Bar was one of the only bars I can think of, and across the street there's a bar as well. The name is eluding me off the top of my head, but there wasn't, very many bars or restaurants on Milwaukee Avenue. So opening the brew pub there was really kind of, it was a risky proposition. But it's amazing how opening a brewery in a neighborhood it seems like everything really kind of forms around that. Before you know it, you start seeing new restaurants and new bars popping up. And a lot of times a brewery in a neighborhood is really like a cornerstone. So when we opened the Kedzie production facility, we didn't want that to be in another suburb. We obviously wanted that to be in Chicago, close to where we all live and we can get to. And we're very proud to brew in Chicago, so we wanted to stay there. So, and we wanted to keep the brewery location as close to the pub as possible. So Josh found the location here on Kedzie. He found a nice large building, which is very important, with truck docks, which is also important, and plenty of space to expand and grow in here. Room in the back for our grain silos, and then eventually our large format fermentation tanks back there. So he looked at this, even though we were a brew pub, he looked at this building, and we basically built a brewery in this building that could brew about 40 to 50,000 barrels of beer. And everyone was like, "Oh, why are you getting such a big building? You don't need that big of equipment. You're not going to make that much beer." And Josh was like, "Well, just wait and see. Give us a little bit of time." And it's a good thing that he did do that, because we've expanded multiple times already in our location. We actually have 2 brew houses in our new location now, one which is a 50 barrel brew house and the other one is a 150 barrel brew house. And sometimes they're working at the same time. So his vision and his aggressive attitude toward this company and the way we were going to grow and the way we were going to make beer is really why we are where we here, or why we are here where we are today.
I'm experiencing a lot of secondhand satisfaction just from proving that person's so wrong. Like, oh, you think this is big? Just wait. Soon we're going to be the biggest independent brewery in Illinois. What's up? That's got to feel so good. So whenever the world is not actively ending, what is like the best summer day at Revolution Brewing? What does that look like? You come into the brewery and what happens?
Best summer day here at the brewery is coming in and brewing. Probably that time of year, we'd be brewing our Sun Crusher, probably emptying or filling some barrels, because we like to fill some barrels and get ahead of time, get the beer in barrel as often as we can. So we like to have a lot of things going at the same time. But one of our favorite things to do is brew little smaller specialty batches on our 50 barrel system, sometimes some traditional lagers, beers the brew team really likes to drink. But I would say after work, one of the best things is going out in the back behind the brewery. We've got a little horseshoe pit. We've got a basketball hoop. We have a little bench, and everyone likes to hang out back there when there's no COVID-19, rampaging the country, and drink some really nice crisp beers for the summertime. Like we love drinking our Sun Crusher, which is our hoppier summer ale, and then we have our Ghost Ride Kolsch, which is a nice super light drinkable beer. But really a great day for us is just coming in and working hard, and then being able to hang out and really enjoy the fruits of our labor at the end of the day and say, wow, this is really this is what we're all working hard for. And it's not just the brewers, it's the brewers hanging out with the packaging crew and everyone upstairs, because it really takes everyone in the company to make all these things happen. And to see a beer come through fruition, from design of a label, making sure the can is right, making sure the recipe is right, making sure the beer is brewed right. So many people are involved when you have a larger brewery to making something happen from start to finish. So when we could all hang out and have a few beers on a nice sunny day after work, I think it's there's a lot of satisfaction in that for sure.
Totally. And I have 2 questions, because I know that although they sound the same, they're completely different. As the brewmaster, what is your favorite beer that you guys brew? But then also, what is a beer that you would recommend somebody coming in for their first time to Revolution to order?
Those are very good questions. I drink very seasonally. There's not one particular beer that I like to drink all year long. Rev Pils is one that I will drink all year long. But right now, this time of year, I'm really enjoying our Eugene Porter, a nice, robust, rich, chocolatey porter. Dark beers are what really got me excited about brewing, tasting porters and stouts from Bell's Brewery and Sierra Nevada Brewery. And, the dark beers really got me excited. Like oatmeal stouts have always been one of my favorite beers to drink. But yeah, this time of year, I'm really drinking and enjoying the Eugene Porter. And we also just did Eugene Porter with 3 different additions of coffee to it. So 3 separate versions of it with coffee from Sip of Hope, from Dark Matter, and from Metropolis. So you'll be seeing that out in the marketplace soon. So if you like Eugene Porter, you'll probably like it even more when you have when it's infused with some super nice, fresh local coffee. Um, as far as beers that someone would come in being, I guess, being a novice tasting beers that might be afraid of diving into a 17% barrel aged beer or a 10% double IPA, I would say that Cross of Gold, which is our golden ale, is a really nice starting point for people. Ghost Ride, which is a Kolsch that's very easy drinking, very low bitterness, just very clean and crisp. And another beer I would recommend is one of our kettle sours. Um, we have a Freedom of Speech, which is a kettle sour that we add peach to, and that one is just like so nice. And sometimes people, when they think and they hear the word sour, they think something's going to be like a Sour Patch Kid, and it's just going to make you pucker and burn your esophagus. But when a kettle sours are done right, it's just got a very nice soft tartness and a little bit of that fruit character that comes through, and it just makes for the most pleasant, easy drinking beer when it's, especially when it's warm outside.
Oh man, I'm a sucker for sours. You just sold me. I love me
Nice.
a sour. Well, thank you for taking the time with us. And you guys are at 3340 North Kedzie F. You're doing curbside pickup right now, and that's all online?
That is correct.
All online. And then you can find you on Rev Brew Chicago on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, right?
That is correct.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. Is there anything, and we can chop this up too, so it doesn't have to look like I asked you beforehand. Is there anything that you want to get included in this that you didn't feel was included?
No, you know what? I think we touched on a lot of great points. I really appreciate you having me on. This is great.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. You know that we know this year has been insane for breweries, and they're kind of the life force of Chicago. So we just wanted to make sure that you guys are still not getting lost in all the hubbub of 2020 and able to open next year.
Yeah, for sure. You know what I just thought of? I forgot to mention this coming weekend, we're actually releasing 3 more of our barrel aged beers. We have
Tell me.
Mineshaft Gap, which is our institutionalized barley wine that is aged in cognac barrels for a year. Ooh. We have Rye Way to Heaven, which is our imperial rye ale, which is aged in a percentage of rye barrels and then bourbon barrels, very smooth and silky with all the rye malt. And then the one that was really shining out to me is really amazing this time was what's called Double Barrel VSOD. And that is a Deathstar that has been aged in 2 different barrels. And the VSO moniker means it's very special old. And we try to get all the beer into this blend that is at least 2 years old. Some of the components of the blend are actually over 2 years old. But this beer is just so super complex, not only from time, but from being in 2 different barrels. All the wonderful English dark malts, flaked oats, and oat malt give the beer just a velvety texture. And it just like is exploding with baker's chocolate and fudge and caramel, toffee, vanilla. I mean, it's really amazing. And it's amazing how drinkable it is. And it's, if you can imagine, it's 17% alcohol by volume. So
I'm definitely getting that. I'm gonna drink it on an empty stomach, and I'm gonna get the most bang for my buck. It's terrible advice. I don't drink well, but I'm learning by talking to people like you and learning all this stuff and all these like cool facts about all the work that goes into beer. And now I'm getting an actual appreciation for it instead of immediately going for the 17% beer on an empty stomach. So this is great. Now I know to go for the 17% beer and sip it, and also order food that pairs well with it. And that's called growth.
Indeed, yes. You'll definitely want to pair that one with some food, or make sure you're safely on your couch when you're sipping that one.
And you guys normally do food when, again, the world isn't actively ending, right? Are you doing food right now for curbside pickup or just drinks?
We are just doing beer to go from the Kedzie Brewery. The brew pub is actually going to be in hibernation until March of 2022. So we're just going to wait
Okay.
out this pandemic, and then we're looking to open up sometime shortly after that.
Okay, awesome. So this weekend we can get those new beers, and I'm definitely doing that. I will
Fantastic.
absolutely put that in.
Well, hopefully once we finally get this COVID situation under control, you could actually come to the brewery and take a tour, and
Oh yeah.
we can talk here rather than
Oh yeah.
over Zoom calls.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially because I will be able to get to know the product, which is my favorite part of this whole thing, and be able to talk about it a little better on my end. I love that. Thank you so much for your time and thanks for being with
Oh,
us today.
it was my pleasure. Thank you.